Good evening, everyone, and welcome to She is Gathering with your host, Dr. Janet Newell. We are so excited tonight about our guest. Her name is Apostle Dr. Joy Allen. She's in the studio tonight, and we are going to talk about some things that are so exciting and interesting and equipping us to be able to protect ourselves and keep ourselves out of harm's way. So, without any further ado, I'm going to ask Dr. Joy Allen to introduce herself to the people who are watching, to our audience, and tell us a little bit about herself.
Absolutely. Good evening. This is such a blessing to see you, Apostle. I'm excited. I am Joy Allen. And just to give you a little bit about myself, I've been in ministry for a long time. We won't get into that story. But I have also been a certified
Amen.
firearms instructor for quite some time, for quite a few years now. I am the founder of E3 Personal Defense as well as Inner Peace Ladies Shooting Club. So I'm really excited about the discussion on this evening and looking forward to it.
That is awesome. So you said E3. Could you repeat that again, please?
Absolutely. E3 Personal Defense, located here in Raleigh.
Okay, tell us a little bit about the E3 personal defense, and then tell us about In Her Peace. I'm so excited to hear about it.
Yes, yes. So E3 Personal Defense is a firearms training organization that I founded. It's basically a company run by my husband and myself. We specialize in firearms training for gateway students. So basically, students who are brand new to firearms or those that are maybe, they've got a little bit of knowledge but need some reinforcement, maybe some teaching and support. We teach all types of classes, everything from concealed carry to some of your more defensive courses. And we also offer quite a bit of education with non lethal tools as well. So things like pepper sprays, for example, or batons. We can teach you how to use those also because firearms are not for everybody. Inner Peace is a our way basically of giving back to the community. It's our ladies club for shooting. And Inner Peace started in 2020 because we quickly saw that there was just a disparity. Ladies were not getting trained. They
Yes.
were intimidated in many cases by the men. And then also, while there are lots of ladies clubs out here, very few of them cater to women from minority populations. And so, as women of color, we do have different cultural ideas sometimes and different nuances that need to be dealt with. And so Inner Peace has been able to step in and fill that need.
That is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal. I'm going to ask you a few questions. I'm so excited about your answers. Um, we need to, I often tell people, as believers of the Most High Yah, we need to know how to defend ourselves, and we can't completely and totally. We can't always say. Now we do rely basically on prayer, right? But we can't always say, "Oh, He's going to protect us. I'm just going to pray." As a a minister, can you tell them a little bit about your ministry as well, so they'll understand this is a spiritual and a natural application?
Absolutely, absolutely. So scripture tells us to watch and pray. And here's the thing about God always has purpose. He's everything that he plans for us, it's going to accomplish what he's purposed it to do. And so when people ask me, Joy, I'm praying, I'm fasting, why in the world would I protect myself with a firearm? My question to them is, why do you have a fire extinguisher? Why do you have car insurance? Why do you
Right.
have life insurance, health insurance? We are meant to be responsible. And the great thing about our Father is that He has empowered us to do a whole lot of things for ourselves. So we're supposed to pray, absolutely, but we've also been emboldened and empowered to take care of ourselves. This
Absolutely.
is just one of many tools that's available to us. And if it's the right tool to make us feel confident, for us to be able to go and take care of our families and stay safe, that's exactly what we should use.
Awesome. So, can you please share with us your journey to becoming a firearms instructor? Not just a firearm instructor, but a certified firearms instructor. But can you tell us the journey, how you began by getting certified yourself in firearms, and then moving forward to becoming an instructor? What provoked you? What encouraged you? What made you say, "Hey, I want to be an instructor"?
Mhm. Strangely enough, I was not in favor of guns for most of my life. My husband was in the Marine Corps, and I used to always joke about the firearms. I'm a knife girl, to be honest. I love my swords and my little switchblades and things. And I really did not want to have guns in my home when my children were younger.
Right.
It just wasn't something that I was a fan of. But when I turned 40 years old, one of my goals was just to learn to shoot a gun because I didn't want to be fearful. So I asked my husband to set that up for me, and he actually was very smart in that he said, I am not going to teach you myself. He paid for me to go to a professional and take a class, and immediately I fell in love. I felt the stress relief that it brought, the empowerment that it brought, and it was just something that I was really surprised that I loved. And so from there, I started taking classes. And quite honestly, I enjoyed the classes, but we're still in North Carolina, if I can be very blunt and honest. And as I began training, many of the classes I had to take, I went down a dirt road in the middle of nowhere in North Carolina and had to sit in a room with Confederate flags and only people who looked nothing like me, people who cracked jokes
Right.
about that were precious to me, people who talked about cultural things that I found offensive and quite frankly, very scary. And I said to myself, I cannot allow everyone else to have to endure this just for them to exercise their rights. And so I prayed about it, talked to my husband about it, and that's really how we got into this. We wanted to offer an alternative so that people who look like us, people who are raised like us, people who understand our challenges would feel comfortable exercising their rights because we have to remember the Second Amendment is a right. It's not something that's for only a
Yes.
privileged few, right? So we want to have a safe space so that everyone can exercise that right, just like we want everyone to be able to vote and feel comfortable without intimidation. Everyone should be able to
Right.
get this as well.
That is so amazing. And that just shows your desire to equip the people of the Most High, even your concern and your love for Yah's people to say, hey, I'm going to get certified so I can train these people in the atmosphere that is conducive to their growth and not make them feel uncomfortable. That is phenomenal. So becoming a firearm instructor, you mentioned earlier that you were not a person who really got into weapons, into guns. How did it feel when you first put that gun in your hand?
Oh my goodness. I don't even know how to describe the feeling. It was enlightening for sure. Because I don't know what I thought it was going to be like, but it was very enlightening to understand that I can control this weapon. But in addition to that, it was a stress relief for me. It was empowering. I felt like, wow, this is really, if I can be honest, I started thinking about all of the history of my own people, my own ancestors,
Yes.
and the fact that this tool that was used against them was now in my hands and I had the ability to control it. And there was something very emotional, honestly, and healing about that for me. Um, Maybe deeper than some other people would have felt. But at the same time, I was also excited that I'm exercising a right that my grandparents did not have an opportunity to exercise. For me, that was very, very important.
That is phenomenal. And that is it's something that you said that because now, as a community of believers, we're realizing that the early assembly or the early church had armed guards with them.
Yes,
They had,
yes.
of course, they didn't have guns, but they had swords. And
Mhm,
once again in the Bible, Mashiach asked them how many swords did they have, and they said we have two, and he said that should be enough. And
mhm.
I just I just think that we should all be equipped to be able to defend our homes, to be able to defend our person, to be able to defend our assemblies. We should be able to do that, and we should a lot of people are afraid of guns. And what would you say to someone who says, I'm afraid to touch that gun, I'm afraid to have a gun in my house? What would you say to them?
That's a great question. I think it would depend on the person. To some people who are afraid, I would ask them why first. I want to get to the root cause of that fear because we don't operate in the spirit of fear. We've got power, love, and a sound mind. We don't operate in a spirit of fear. So I would first want to understand where is that fear coming from, and let's deal with
Right.
that first. But then after that, I would also evaluate whether a firearm is the right tool for that person. You know, a gun is not for everyone. There are many different circumstances that might, keep that as a second option or maybe not an option at all. But I'm still going to work with that person to make sure that they can find the right tool for them. Maybe that's bear spray. Maybe that is a sword. We can talk about their needs, their comfort level, because ultimately we all need to be equipped. We need to be equipped with the word, but we also need to be equipped with all of the things that we need in this world to prosper as well.
Yes.
Education, that we could say the same thing. Why do we go to school if God can speak to us by his spirit? I mean, come on, right? We have a
Right. Right.
responsibility
Right.
to be equipped. So I'm going to deal with that person where they are, find out the root of that fear, and then determine what's the best tool for them.
Okay. So can you tell us exactly what is it that you're certified in?
Oh boy, yes. So I have quite a few certifications. I'm certified by the NRA, the USCCA, NAGA, which is the National African American Gun Association, IFSA. I'm also certified by Rangemaster. I'm a certified Glock armor as well. So all of that basically means that I can teach firearms courses, pistol, shotgun, and rifle to pretty much anyone. I can also certify instructors for the NRA and the USCCA as well.
That is awesome. I'm trying to find my camera. If you can just, okay, here it is. I think I clicked on it by by mistake, so I'm turning my camera back on. So in saying that, you have so many certifications with firearms. You're very, very well equipped to teach and to train the people in the assembly with firearms. Could you share with us? I know I sent you a list of questions, but I'm just gonna, if it's okay with you, I'm just gonna bounce off of what you said. Can you share with us your thoughts on a woman going to be to get certified in carrying a weapon and shooting a weapon, and even a woman going to become an instructor? Uh, how important is it for a woman to be able to defend herself? I guess that's what I'm asking you.
It's very important for a woman to be able to defend herself. If I can just paint the picture, women are literally hunted in this country, literally. And if you are a woman of color, you're hunted even more so. So if you can imagine a deer hunter, they disguise themselves, they go out into the woods, and
Yes.
they are looking for that deer that is alone. They're looking for the one that looks vulnerable. They're looking for the one that they can surprise. As much as I hate to say it, if we look at the news, you can fact check me on this. Women are literally hunted the exact same way. There are predators in this country that are looking around.
Yes.
We all know that trafficking is a big issue. They're looking for those who are emotionally vulnerable, those who are alone, those who are quiet, those who look like they cannot defend themselves. That is the reason that not only women need to be equipped, but we need to equip our daughters, our children. We must defend ourselves. And the greatest
Yes.
thing
Yes.
about a firearm is not, I'm not going out here looking for somebody to shoot. But when people see, oh, this is Joy
Come on.
Allen, I know that she can shoot. I know that she teaches people how to shoot. You know what that does? It makes a person not want to deal with me. That evil does not want to come this way because they don't want to fight. Those who are out to do evil, they are looking for easy victims. And so it's absolutely imperative that we be equipped. In terms of being instructors, women need to be instructors because we need representation. Representation matters. When I became an instructor just a few years ago, there were only a handful of those who were women, and even less in the state of North Carolina. I was the first Black certified instructor to become a training counselor in the state of North Carolina. There aren't any of us, and so we need that representation.
That is phenomenal. We're going to pause just really quick for a commercial, and then we're going to come right back to the interview. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching She is Gathering with Dr. Janet Newell. Please watch, subscribe, like, and follow on the following platforms. Well, I thought we were going to pause for a commercial. Maybe we're going to try to.
Thank you for watching.
We're
She
going to
is
try.
Gathering with Dr. Janet Newell. Please watch, subscribe, like, and follow on the following platforms.
We are back. We're having a little technical difficulty here, but we're going to get through this interview. And that is so commendable. Congratulations on that. You have set history. You have established history in the state of North Carolina, becoming the first Black or melanated African American, however people say it, woman of color to be certified in all that you're certified in. That is phenomenal. What do you think about household, teaching your sons and your daughters, the children? I'm talking about ages 15 and younger, starting at probably, what would be the earliest age that you would say you would suggest that you instruct your children on firearms?
That's an amazing question. The youngest I've trained was 3. I would say it really depends on the child. But one thing I've found is children they are they're looking to fulfill a curiosity. And so when children learn about firearm safety very early on, they are actually much safer. They're less likely to go and play with the gun or to look for it because it's nothing mysterious to them. It's nothing taboo. They're used to it. So I do recommend, of course, based on the child and their maturity level, that as early as possible, every child should really be trained in gun safety, even if you don't have guns in your house. There are 470 million firearms in this country. Your child is going to come across one of them.
Wow.
And when they do, you want them to understand how to act safely. So even if you are anti gun, that's your choice, that's your right. But your children need to understand gun safety because it's going to be inevitable. Sooner or later, they're going to come across one.
I agree. I agree 100%. I'm trying to get my youngest daughter to go and get certified to be able to carry a handgun. I have one myself. I have a handgun and I have a 22 caliber semi-automatic rifle. I have swords. I have knives. I think that we all need to have some type of weapon to be able to defend. My saying is this, Dr. Allen. The only thing is that's going to keep them from coming in your house is what they meet when they come through that door.
Absolutely.
When they meet that first blast is going to make them turn around and they're going to mark that house. And hey, that person in that house, you don't mess with them because they are equipped. They're trained to go, as the young people say, TTG, trained to go. So my next question to you would be, how do you incorporate your belief? How do you incorporate ministry? How do you incorporate the word of Yah in your training when you're training people?
Absolutely. This is a ministry for me altogether. And I get asked this question a lot. The first thing we do is show love. We don't just teach people how to shoot a firearm, we're teaching them confidence. We're praying over them. We're bringing healing. We are bringing deliverance because the Spirit of God is there when we are teaching these classes. And everybody knows that we are a faith based ministry. We don't hide that. When you come into our class, you're not going to hear all the foul language that you hear in some of the other classes. But I will say, I am in the business of restoring confidence. I talked a little bit earlier about how, we're there for underprivileged populations. Oftentimes, these are people who have been broken. They are people who are dealing with poverty. They are dealing with all types of oppression. And so it's not about a gun for them. It's about confidence. It's about them understanding I am worth defending. And so when they come into that room, that's the first thing we're going to do is show them love, show them compassion. And really, that's the biggest part for me. They can come in and just feel accepted and ask questions. And you would be surprised at how people open up. They ask for prayer. They ask, for guidance. They ask for wisdom. And it's been amazing.
Wow, all this is taking place while you are training them with a firearm to defend themselves. I had a guest on a couple weeks ago, Minister Quentin Bird, and he was in self-defense. He's certified in self-defense, Krav Maga.
Oh
And
my
one thing
God,
he
yes.
said that stuck out to me, and I'm sure that you can attest to this, is that that sometimes people they freeze when they're under attack. Sometimes they freeze and they do absolutely nothing, and then they begin to attack themselves because they say, "Well, why didn't I do anything? Why did I do anything?" How do you minister to a person who has that type of paralysis, that fear paralysis? How do you minister to them while you're teaching them and training them with the weapon to be able to defend themselves and not second guess whether they should use their weapon or not? What type
Mhm.
of how do you equip them to be able to recognize the situations that would merit them? Okay, be prepared, because this person, and not just be paranoid, but prepared.
We do the same thing we would do if I were in a church. If I was in church ministering to someone, I'm going to meet them where they are and I'm going to speak life into them using the word of God. That's what I'm going to do. And I do the exact same thing in class. The only difference is I don't always quote chapter and verse, but I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'll give you a quick example. I had a young lady that came to a class one night. She was taking an introduction class and she sat through the classroom session, no problem. We got out on the range. She was scared to death. She froze. She was shaking, but she stood there and she took her first shot, and there it was, a bullseye. And I celebrated with her. And that young lady fell into my arms. Literally, she collapsed. I had to grab the firearm. She collapsed and she started crying and she started telling me about how this was a moment of deliverance for her because
Wow.
the year before that, she literally watched her mother be shot in the head by her dad. And so this was a step of healing that she needed. And we stood right there on the range and cried and prayed. And I said to her, "You did a great job, bullseye. Do you want to do it again?" And she said, "Nope, I'm done." This is all that I needed. And
Ah,
so that's one example of what we come across. And that young lady, I was able to just speak life into her, and she understood at that moment, this does not have me. I can be free from this. But if I need this tool, I'm worth it. I
yes.
don't have to look down on myself anymore. I know that I can do this. And I tell you, I think about her oftentimes when I get discouraged because that's what this is all about.
That is phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. And that is just an example of how Most High deals with the whole man. He is so practical. And he does not just stick in one area, but he deals with the whole man completely. That means he deals with his mind, body, spirit, and soul. He deals with us financially. He deals with us emotionally. He deals with us with our health, with our mental health. He deals with us, and everything is about recovery, reconciliation, and restoration. And that's a phenomenal
Yes.
testimony that you can share with people, especially when you go into the house of Yah, you go into the assemblies, and you begin to lecture on the importance of having armed people at your assembly to protect the people. And just how you explained it, it's phenomenal, and it gives them a clear understanding that this is essential. This is very important. And I just want to say to the people who are viewing this interview tonight, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments, and we will definitely ask Dr. Joy Allen the questions. And if you have any statements, put them in the comments. We're going to read them. I'm going to start with one statement that was given by Michelle Stanfield. Uh, Let me put my glasses on because I don't want to misrepresent anyone's name. I need to be able to read. I need to be able to see. Michelle Stanfield Will. She said absolutely correct and varied information. We are individuals being prepared as much as possible in as many ways as possible is necessary, mentally, physically, spiritually, intellectually, etc. Thanks for the reminders. Excellent guest, Dr. Newell. Thank you, Sister Allen. Hallelujah. Dr. Allen, she said thank you so much.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And then we have We have Rain Johnson watching, Dr. Rain Johnson, Apostle Rain Johnson, Minister Sister Javonda Jones. We have many different Brother Brian Yop, Deacon Brian Yop. We have many different people watching. Guns are essential. I think that I really believe that it's all a part of life and living. It's all about living a practical life. But what I noticed about my weapon, when I first got my weapon, everybody was so concerned about me because they thought that I was hot tempered. But I'm not hot tempered. I'm just no nonsense. And so my sister was concerned about me. My mom was concerned about me. But my brother Henry, my brother David, my brother Ira, he was a little concerned, I believe. But the other two, they weren't concerned because they knew my brother Henry for sure. He is a gun connoisseur. He got different kinds of guns, and he was so excited that I had my gun. And we would be on our family. We have a family duo that we do, and we would be on there, and he'd be showing his gun, and I would be showing my handgun. They'd be like, "Oh no, don't do that!" And I have to tell them, guns don't kill people. It's people with guns that kill
That's right.
people. It's mishandling the firearm that kill people. But uh, with that being said, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that every household should have a firearm.
I agree 100%.
So, what are your views when it comes to every household having a firearm?
I believe every household, and let me clarify that every household,
What are the benefits?
I'm sorry, I think I have a little bit
Go
of a
ahead.
delay, but yeah, I think every household should have a firearm so long as those people in the household are legally, mentally, and physically, as well as spiritually, able to handle that firearm. There, of course, are some exceptions, and we need to be mindful of those and certainly respectful of them. However, the truth of the matter is, we are in these United States of America. This country was founded because of firearms. The land that we sit on was gained because of firearms. It is a part of our culture. And unfortunately, there are plenty of bad guys, I'll say, that are out there that are looking for victims.
Right.
And the only thing that you can use to fight against those bad guys is a weapon that will equal or even, I should say, the playing field, and that is a firearm.
So a firearm. I learned this from Minister Bird. I learned this from Minister Quentin Bird. A firearm, or a knife, or a pole, whatever you use, a stick, is used for to up the um the defense level or your defense mechanism. Like the self defense is the first line of defense. But then when
Yes.
he said to me, when you have someone, you're a small woman or a small man, and you have a man that's much bigger than you, there's no way you can have all the self defense in the world. But there's no way you're going to, once they get a hold of you, you won't be able to defend yourself. He said, so he said that every household should have a firearm. Every young woman should be trained in firearm carrying. That that's so vital. So, with you being a carrier, is your son and your daughter certified? Have they decided to go into that field as well?
My son and daughter have not gone into the field necessarily, but my daughter is also a certified firearms instructor. My son is certainly qualified to be, should he decide. They both have been very well trained and they are wonderful with firearms. They're very safe. They are very good shooters, much better than I am. And they have both expressed some interest in doing this in the future. So I hope they'll continue to do that.
Well, I remember when you were talking about the young lady who she witnessed her father shooting her mother, and it was very difficult for her to shoot. And you begin to say how out on the range you begin to pray. We need more of that. We need more of leaders being equipped. I believe that every leader need to be equipped in some type of defense uh, program. Need to either have hand to hand combat equipment or training, firearm training, especially those who are preaching the gospel. I had a situation, Dr. Allen. One day I was preaching, and we were in this area where our church was, where our assembly was, and it was in a very high crime area. And I was preaching, and this young lady came in the door. She walked past the security, past those who were monitoring, the ushers, past the men, and came directly to me. And when she came to me, I was preaching. You know how you really preaching, Sharon. This woman
Mhm.
came to me and she grabbed me. And when she grabbed me, it was like a collision, both in the natural and the spirit realm. And when she grabbed me, I just immediately started praying. But what if she had a knife?
Mhm.
What if she had a gun? And so
Right.
after service, I called a meeting and I said, don't ever allow a person to come up on me like that again. Don't ever be
Mhm.
so naive to think that they are safe. She could have killed me in front of all of you. It was a woman that we
Mhm.
didn't even know. Praise Yah that it wasn't that. And we prayed for her. She cried, and we helped her in any way that we could, and she left. But I believe that even the pastors, the preachers, the apostles, the prophet, evangelists, and teachers, especially those who travel a lot, I
Yeah.
believe they should carry a firearm with them. What are your views on that as well?
I agree with you, and if I can take a step back, and I know this is going to make some people mad, but I do agree. Everyone who's in ministry, you are taking on responsibility for Yah's people. And so you have a responsibility to pray and to fast and to teach and to preach, yes, but you also have a responsibility. If you call those people together, you have a responsibility for their safety. That is imperative. And so we need to be equipped physically as well. One thing I will say, though, is that in the church, in our assemblies, we first need to deal with a bigger epidemic, and that is simply the fact that we are not physically fit. The truth of the matter is that if any of us are in a shooting
Come on.
situation, you're going to have a heart attack if you're not in good health. This is a high stress situation. Your body is going to do things that it's never done before. There's going to be an adrenaline dump. You need to be healthy to deal with any violent situation. And you also need to be healthy mentally, not just spiritually and physically, but mentally as well. You need to make sure that you are stable. And to be quite honest, in many of
Yes.
our assemblies, that mental illness is still there. The physical lack of fitness is still there. And those things need to be dealt with as well. Otherwise, a firearm is just going to become a liability.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful, and that is a bold statement to make, and you probably will make some people angry. They probably will get angry, but it is the truth, and I agree with you 100% because I went on this journey, a health journey myself, and I can tell you that I feel so much better than I did in the past. I talk about this often, how our people there's a saying that the older saints say, and what they say is some people are so heavenly bound until they're no earthly good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had people say to me, we don't prayer. And once again, my response to them it's been recorded in history. While people were in the assembly praying, people have come in and shot the house up while they were praying. We have to be equipped.
Yes.
We must be equipped to stand against these extremists that feel like, and these mentally ill people who feel like, who says the devil told them to do it or a voice told them to do it. You have to be equipped, like you
Absolutely.
said, to protect those people. And do you believe that even the ushers should have some type of equipment to be able to defend themselves, like a pepper spray? I would suggest that the ushers had pepper spray if needed. What are your comments concerning that?
Absolutely. It certainly depends on how your services are run, how your assemblies look, who's doing what. But we actually do a lot of training. As I mentioned before, one of the things that we do just, to make sure that we're glorifying Yah through our business is we give back to our community a lot. And so we have a program called COP, which is Community Outreach Program. And as a part of that program, we actually go into churches and we train their security teams. And so we look at how the church is how it's set up. We look at who's on staff, how their worship services are conducted, and we make suggestions. And we actually go through an entire emergency plan with the staff based on all of those types of things. So if any of your viewers run a ministry, or a part of an assembly or nonprofit, and you're looking for that, we will gladly come in as a consultant. We do that free of charge. That's part of our ministry, our way of giving back and glorifying the Father. We will come in and help you to set that up. Mm-hmm.
That is phenomenal. I know I'm saying phenomenal and awesome a lot, but it is phenomenal and it is awesome. And I definitely will be reaching out to you all in the near future to come in. You see how our assembly and our office is set up, and I believe that every assembly need to have an evacuation plan in order and have key people who are going to implement it and make sure that it is followed through. So when we're talking about weapons and having weapons, now, what's the difference between being certified to carry and then certified to conceal carry?
Very good. So in North Carolina, those two terms are interchangeable. We have to understand our state is a little bit strange. Many of them are. You can actually purchase a firearm at the age of 18, so long as there are no legal barriers. But you cannot carry until you are the age of 21. Before you can carry concealed, you must be certified through the state. So you have to take a class. You have to go and apply at your local sheriff's department. They will run a background check. And if everything is approved, then you will get your permit to carry. Carrying means that you have a firearm on your person or on your being that is concealed. You do not need that permit to carry open, because we are what we call an open carry state. But I would implore you to please be careful with open carry. Depending on your situation and your atmosphere, it can make you a victim. It can make you a target. It can also make other people very uncomfortable. So while we are allowed to carry openly at the age of 18, I really caution people against doing so unless it's strategic for whatever reason and makes good sense. Otherwise, go ahead and get that permit so that you can carry concealed.
So, how long would it take in order to get that permit to conceal carry?
You start with the class. So once you take your class, that's 8 hours. That's mandated by the state. After that 8 hour course, you go online, you fill out your application, which you can do the exact same day, quite honestly. And your sheriff's department is then going to set up an appointment for you to come in. Depending on your county, that might take anywhere from a week to 3 weeks, just depending on their backlog. Then once that appointment is done, most counties will turn that permit around within 4 to 6 weeks, and you'll get that in the mail.
Okay, so we're looking at altogether maybe 6 months before, well, no, 4 to 6 weeks, a month and a half before you be actually certified.
Yes. Yep. That's all you need. And then
Okay,
you'll
that's
get a little
great.
card
That's
that
great.
you keep on you with your ID.
So, how much does something like that cost? And for the viewers who are watching in the state of North Carolina, how much would
Mhm.
something like that cost? And if you get certified in the state of North Carolina, does that carry over to other states, or would you have to go and find a program that will make you be certified across the whole United States?
Great question. So, first, once you get that certification, well, the cost is going to differ a little bit throughout the state because it's not mandated by the state. So, depending on where you take your class, that class is going to be anywhere, I would say, from about $75 to $150. I will say this: you get what you pay for. There are some instructors out here that are just kind of certificate mills. They're not the best. If you are paying, in my opinion, less than $90, you're probably not getting a good professional course. To give you an idea, we are right in the middle. Our course is $109. So it's going to cost about that for the course. Your concealed carry application with the sheriff's office is going to be $90. So you're already about $200 in. And then after that, it's just the cost of your insurance, your firearm, and of course, you need something to store it as well. So all of that is important. And just a quick side note while I'm there, this is part of the reason, Dr. Newell, that Apostle, that we are trying to fight for rights, especially for those that are underprivileged. Already we've spent $200. And to be honest, those who need firearms the most, they have to decide between a concealed carry permit and dinner for their children. That's why we have all of these illegal firearms on the street.
Right.
We are really fighting to bring these costs down because you shouldn't have to pay to exercise a constitutional right. So I know I'm getting on my soapbox a little bit here, but that's the reason that we're in this business and the reason we offer things through the community, because they really need it. And so if you are able and have an interest in sponsoring someone, reach out to those family and friends who you know need this and sponsor them so they can get the training that they really need.
That's really good. That's some good information, Dr. Allen. Michelle Stanfield Will asked if I could please have the speaker address reciprocity.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry you did ask that question. I got on my soapbox and forgot to answer it. But once you get your permit in the state of North Carolina, reciprocity basically is the idea that your permit is honored by other states. I believe my last count, the North Carolina permit is honored in 37 other states, if I'm not mistaken, but don't quote me on that exact number. One thing you can do is if you download a free app,
Wow.
uscca.com. So again, that's uscca.com. If you go into your app store and look up USCCA, you will see an app called USCCA Reciprocity. It is free. You can download that app and it uploads every 24 hours any new firearms laws in all 50 states, plus Puerto Rico, so that you can see where your permit is honored. You can also understand what the different laws are if you travel. It's a great app to have so that you don't get in trouble when you start traveling across state lines.
So what is that app again, please?
USCCA Reciprocity. You should see it in your app store.
Okay, great. Okay, I just put the website in it. Did you say uscca.com and then you click on
Yep.
reciprocity?
Yep. USCCA.com will take you
You
to
know,
the
I
United
did
States.
not know. I'm sorry, we do have a little delay there. I did not know that once you get certified in North Carolina, you're also certified in 37 other states. That I didn't know that. And that
Mhm.
answers a lot of my questions because I was wondering, I said, okay, so if I'm going to carry, I'm going to conceal carry, and I'm going to travel through the states, which states could they pull me over and they see that weapon and arrest me?
Mhm.
Which states can they take my weapon, confiscate my weapon because they don't honor, I'm only certified in North Carolina. So you get a lot for your money. That is really good. And I think that's a phenomenal idea how they have different states that are in conjunction with or conglomerate, a conglomerate of states that honor our paperwork as far as concealed weapons. Now,
Mhm.
do you know any of those states that North Carolina they honor the North Carolina certification?
Yes, I do. So I travel on the East Coast quite extensively. And so my permit is honored in states such as Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. Georgia actually is now basically a constitutional carry state. So they don't even require a permit from any state any longer. Most of your Gulf states are also going to have reciprocity. Texas is going to have reciprocity with us. So many of them do. And if you travel again up and down the East Coast, now once you get above the Mason-Dixon line, we're dealing with a whole different a whole different ball game there. So they don't necessarily honor anyone's permits, but as long as you're southeast, you're probably pretty good with your North
Okay.
Carolina.
So is Pennsylvania one of those states?
I believe so. I would have to double check. I haven't been to Pennsylvania in a while, and the laws constantly change. They constantly change. But a few years ago they did, but I would have to check to be sure. Mhm.
Okay, great. Do you suggest that with the assemblies and the churches, do you suggest that they would have someone come in and actually literally do a class on firearms so that the people can be comfortable with those people who are carrying the firearms in the church, that they don't have to be on guard or afraid. A little kid doesn't have to be afraid that something is going to happen to them, and that the ministry introduce and that they introduce to the people, those people who are a part of security, so that when they see them, they won't wonder, is this person coming in here to harm us? Who is this person carrying this weapon? Could you please share your views on that, please?
Absolutely. I'm always a fan of education. I 1000% believe that every assembly should have someone come in and do training. Also, people need to know who is part of the security team, not necessarily who has a firearm, but they need to know who's a
Yes.
part of the security team. I also think it's imperative that we have people who are equipped to answer the scriptural questions that will come up, because you're going to have people who say, hey, I don't
Yes.
know, does does Yah support murder now? What's the difference between, what if you have to kill somebody? You're going to have those questions, and someone needs to be able to address them. That's part of the reason that we started our
Right.
business partnering with ministries, and we still go into ministries free of charge to this day, and we have those conversations. We provide that training. We bring in what we call a virtual range. It's a lot of fun. It's all lasers, no real guns, so that people are not nervous. They can get comfortable, they understand what's going on, so that they kind of let their guard down and understand the need for what we're doing.
So, Dr. Allen, do you travel across the nation teaching these classes? Are you limited just to North Carolina, or do you travel across the nation if someone reaches out to you and they want you to come in? How does that work? Do they pay for your expense for travel, your room and board, and your food, or do you just go and it's a donation to the ministry? Can you explain, please, so that if anyone wants to reach out to you, they can understand what the requirements are?
Of course, I do travel. I tend to travel more so around North Carolina, because obviously I have a 9 to 5 and I have a ministry, and those take precedence along with my family. But I have an extensive network of amazing trainers. So if someone might be in a Texas or in Arizona, for example, I have other ladies that I work with just like me that I can recommend to come and to serve.
Awesome. That is awesome. So I hope that that answered the question. If anyone is thinking about having you to come into their assembly, come into their church, and do some type of training, you do have some people that you can direct them to. Do they do it for free also, or do they have a fee?
Yeah, I would best basically recommend someone who could do it for free for a church. If it's for a group of ladies or something else, they would probably charge. But for a nonprofit church, I would either recommend someone or I would make arrangements to come out. Mhm.
Okay, great, great, great. So if there's any more questions, if anyone, I want to reiterate, if there's any questions that you would like to ask Dr. Joy Allen, Apostle Joy Allen, about firearms in the church, firearms in the assembly, firearms in the home, firearms in the family, please put your comments or your questions or your statements in the comments, and we will be sure to ask the questions as much as we can. Um, so I mentioned all of those entities, and we've covered all of those entities: firearms in the home, the church, the assembly, in families. So when we talk about firearms, can you tell us what is a good gun, or a gun that you would suggest or recommend a woman to carry?
Oh, I love this question. So, the first thing I want everyone to understand, there is no such thing as a girl's gun, a woman's gun, no such thing. Whatever you like and whatever you can operate safely and efficiently, that is the firearm for you. So, what I recommend is that you always try before you buy, get with an instructor and try lots of different things to figure out what you like before you spend that money, because firearms are not cheap, and you cannot return them. That serial number is tied to you. And so you need to make sure that you get the thing that's going to work for you,
That's
and
right.
get something that you enjoy shooting so you can practice. You don't want to have something you're not going to ever touch until an emergency comes up, because then you're going to be facing liability. Every bullet has an attorney attached to it.
So even that, I'm glad you brought that up. Now, I had a firearm instructor tell me one day, he was talking to me. I saw it on his vehicle, and I was asking him about it where I live at, and he was saying to me the laws are so fickle that if you saw someone attacking one of your family members and you shot them, you would have to prove that you had to use that level of force in order to keep them from harming your family. Can you share with us some of the dilemmas and some of the laws, just a few of them, that we need to be aware of when it comes to carrying and using a firearm and defending ourselves or even defending someone else? Because with firearms, you have to be careful. You can't just be a good Samaritan and just go, "Oh, I'm going to help this person. I'm going to shoot this guy. I'm going to shoot this woman." You can't do it. You'll go to jail for murder. So can you share that legal implication and the legal what is it, ramifications for just
Mhm.
donning that firearm and shooting it at will because you feel like you have a right to help that person?
Most definitely. It's very, very important first to understand the use of a firearm is by default considered deadly force. So if you are caught up in the movies and what you see on television, stop it. If you pistol whip someone, if you brandish your firearm, you're going to face charges. You may as well pull the trigger. And there are four requirements in the state of North Carolina for deadly force or your gun to be justified. First is you must be facing an imminent threat of death, serious bodily injury, or rape. The second is that a person of ordinary firmness must also believe, upon hearing about your situation, that you are facing that threat. They've got to believe that they would have done the same thing. You cannot be the aggressor or the instigator. And then, lastly, the force that you use cannot be considered excessive. You can only respond to a threat at the level of force that was presented to you. Now, those four requirements, once they're in play, they also apply to anyone else that you might be defending. But keep in mind, you must know all of the circumstances, because you can only defend a person to the extent that they were legally able to defend themselves. So if you go and defend somebody, but you find out that they were the instigator, you are now in trouble for that. So, you got to know all of what's going on before you step in to defend
Wow.
someone, unless they are a child. Ultimately, the best thing to do is keep drama out of your life and avoid any situation, because you win every fight that you avoid, hands down.
Okay, so you said something that I want to ask a little more about. I want to get clarity on this. So you're saying if you're defending someone and they are the instigator, so what you're saying is if they start the fight or if they're the aggressor and they find themselves on the losing end of the battle, and now you're defending them because you come in and you're thinking that someone has attacked them, but actually they attack someone else and that person takes them down, and then that person uh, pulls their weapon and harms the person who is defending themselves, that they could actually go to jail or have charges pressed against them because that person was actually defending themselves against an aggressor. Is
Absolutely.
that what you're
You've got
saying?
to know. Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
I understand. I really do. So I really enjoyed this interview with you, Dr. Allen. I really enjoyed it. I want to note that Dr. Allen is not just a certified firearm instructor, but she is an affirmed apostle in the Church of Messiah Yahushai, and a very eloquent speaker, eloquent and elegant speaker. And we praise the Most High that she took the time out of her busy schedule, because she is always doing something and always going somewhere. That she took her time to share with us how important it is for us to be able to defend our homes, how important it is for us to be able to defend the people that we are covering, that we are ministering to, that comes to our assemblies, how important it is for us to be able to defend our family members and to defend ourselves. And for those of you who are afraid of firearms, like Dr. Allen said, you go and get some teaching. Put one. Would you suggest that they just hold one and see how it feels to hold a weapon and go from there?
I would suggest you get with an instructor that can give you some personal time and let someone guide you through it. That way they can answer your questions and work at your pace. Don't allow anybody to force you. You definitely want to get with someone who's going to support you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what would you say? What words of inspiration? What words of instruction? What words would you share with men and women tonight that pertains to actually teaching their family, sitting down and talking to their family about purchasing a firearm when the family members are thoroughly against it, the family members are afraid? How would you, what would you say to that person to help them be able to communicate to their family that the house is safe? Because I tell you what, when I purchased my 9mm and I held it in my hands, I'm gonna tell you something, Dr. Allen. All of a sudden, I got this confidence and I got this strength that made me know. I don't know. I can't explain it. The fear left me. I didn't feel helpless anymore. I didn't feel like I couldn't defend myself anymore. Once I purchased my, who's going to carry a 22 caliber semi-automatic rifle around with them? Through, who's going to do that? Nobody. I purchased that first, but then I wouldn't purchase the handgun. And I'm telling you, I felt a strength and
Yes.
I felt a confidence and a safety, along with, first and foremost, the Most High protecting me. My prayer is, Father, teach me. I was in the military, so I know how to shoot a weapon. I was a correction officer, so I know how to shoot a weapon. But Father, if I pray that I don't have to use this, but if I do, Father, help me to be an expert in all that I do with it, and that I be wise in all that I do with it. So what would you say to a family member that comes to you and say, hey, Dr. Allen, I want to get this weapon. I really want to get this weapon, but my wife or my husband or my children are saying they don't want me to bring it into the house.
Mhm. That's a great question. And I handle that situation and have handled that situation the same way I do with families who say, you know what, Apostle Joy, I really want to gather, I really want to worship, but my family's not in favor. My family doesn't believe in Yah. My family doesn't believe in the Most High. My first response is why? Let's get to the root of it. Because you will find 9 times out of 10 that the root of that opposition is either fear or ignorance. Fear and ignorance can both be dealt with spiritually and naturally. And so you want to have a conversation. You don't want to force anything on anyone because that's going to get the wrong response. But you need to have a conversation and understand the root of their opposition, why, and listen for that ignorance. They're going to tell you things that are not true, but they believe they're true. That's what they've been taught. And remember, especially if you are a female or woman of color, we're dealing with opposition that has been put in place by history, right? There's some cultural things that we need to overcome. And so take that time, be prayerful, fast, use wisdom, but have those conversations, and you'll find that you can break through those barriers with some good information and some patience.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, there you have it. We just had a phenomenal interview with Dr. Joy Allen, Apostle Joy Allen. And could you please share your contact information, where you can be located, your social media information?
Absolutely. And I just want to say thank you so much. It's always a blessing to see you and to be able to minister. So thank you so much for that. For my information, I'm located in Raleigh, North Carolina. And you can find me online in 2 places. Our business, E3 Personal Defense, is at e3personaldefense.com. All of our social media is also at the E3 Personal Defense tag. And then for Inner Peace, if you are a lady and you're interested in joining our Ladies Shooting Club and just getting to know other women and being empowered, please check us out. That's innerpeace.com. Inner Peace is spelled INHERPIECE.com. And we would love to have you come out and learn with us and shoot alongside of us.
Phenomenal. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Allen, for taking the time just to educate us and just make us more comfortable with being able to have firearms to defend ourselves. I pray that everyone who came in and watched, especially believers and leaders in the body of Messiah, that they would consider getting a firearm to protect and to defend. Once again, we always say guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people. And this was really good for me. I'm going to go back and look at this interview again. And those of you who would like to watch it again, it's going to be on my page, Facebook. Uh, she is Gathering. Also, it's going to be on YouTube at She is Gathering. So go ahead over to YouTube and like and subscribe to the channel, please. I really would appreciate it. We're building the platform right now. So I'm going to ask everyone who's watching if they can go to YouTube. It's at She is Gathering, all one word, and please like and subscribe. And I'm looking forward to really actually talking more with you, Dr. Allen, about establishing something to come to the ministry to make us more literate in this type of things. We do have security, but I believe that more training is not going to hurt anybody. More education is not going to hurt anybody. Once again, thank you, Defense. And also, could you tell them the name?
I'm sorry, what was the last question?
Could you could you please also let them know how they can locate your ministry online as well?
Yes, absolutely. So our ministry is Watch Ministries. It's WATCHURCH.org, watchchurch.org. We would love to hear from you and fellowship. So appreciate that. Mhm.
A phenomenal interview. Thank you for tuning in to She is Gathering with your host, Dr. Janet Newell, and our special guest, Dr. Joy Allen. We are signing off tonight. And once again, I just want to subscribe. And if you would like to donate to She is Gathering, feel free to donate. The donation, we're furthering the well-being, and we're furthering the education, and we're furthering the practicalness of the Most High, dealing with situations and different topics that you wouldn't normally discuss in the assembly or in church. We are doing it here at She is Gathering. So you all have a blessed evening.
Thank you for watching She is Gathering with Dr. Janet Newell. Please watch, subscribe, like, and follow on the following platforms.